Hello, we're Derrick and Janice of Purposeful Marriages. My name's Derrick,
I'm Janice.
and today we just want to talk to you a little bit about this would be an introduction, I guess you could
hmm
say, to Purposeful Marriages. So this gives you an opportunity to understand who we are, how Purposeful Marriages came about, and just a little bit of our story that we like to share.
Yeah. I say we fast track from where we started to where we are today.
Okay.
So, what year was it that we wrote the book? Let's start there.
So we wrote the book in 2018,
Yes, we
somewhere around March. Well, March is, I guess, when we released it.
launched. Yep.
Launched, yes.
So 2018, we published a book called Together on Purpose for Purpose. And that book was created as a result of our experiences of marrying, divorcing, and then remarrying. So we are together on purpose for purpose. So, yeah, we have gone through a lot of life experiences in our marriage. Would you say, Derek?
I would say, but I think that we should, if we're going to give them a true introduction, we should go back to where we began, not just where we wrote the book. Where we began, the book probably being like the middle part, and then going to the ending. So initially, Janice and I, we met in, do I even want to say it? We met a long time ago.
1988.
She remembered. Good.
hmm
Okay, so we met in 1988,
hmm
and it was an interesting introduction. If you read the book, you probably get a little more insight about that.
But if you haven't read the book, get it, and then you'll it'll fill in all these gaps.
Yeah, and how you get the book? www.derrickandjanice at purposefulmarriages.com.
That's correct. So we met in 1988. What happened?
So, so we met in 1988, as we said. I think that's the third time we just said that. Anyway, I was fresh from the military, so don't get your timelines mixed up, right? I was fresh from the military, and I would happen to be at Woodruff. I was actually dropping my younger brother off at school.
So hold on, let me get this right. You were fresh out the military, and I was at Woodruff High School.
Yes, I was a young military person. I was not like a 10-year veteran or nothing like that. I was
That's what my
new out of
parents
the
thought.
military.
That's what my parents
Your
thought.
parents were just a little naive at the time. So,
Okay, all
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Besides that, anyway, we'll get to that part. We'll get to that part. So anyway, 1988, I'm dropping my brother off at school. No, actually, I was picking him up, is what I was doing. And I happened to notice this group of girls, and there was one in particular. And so as my brother got in the car, I inquired about her, and he basically told me I did not have a chance in heck of talking to this young lady. And I said, don't worry about all that. Just do what I ask you to do. So I was trying to tell him, of course, like any big brother would, get her number for me. I'm trying to, just want to holler at her a little bit.
And he made several attempts to do that. So when his brother was making his many attempts to get my phone number, I thought it was for his brother. So I was like, no, 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 no.
It was for his brother.
Yeah, but I thought it was for him, your brother. I thought
Yeah.
your brother wanted my phone number. So,
Right.
but anyway, reluct reluctantly, I gave him the number,
Hmm.
and that's where it all started. His Derek really did call me.
That is where it all started. She wrote this on just picture, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And every corner of this paper had something written on it to form her number.
But here's why that happened. His brother sat in front of me in, I think it was our English class. And every day at class, he would be pressing me about getting his number. And so much and so that it was getting us in trouble. Like we would start arguing. I'm like, no, I'm not giving you my number. No, you just trying to, fool me. This is for you. This is not for your brother. Mind you, I didn't know he had a brother or anything about Dana, which is his brother. And so this particular time that I end up writing the number was he and I started arguing, and he was like, girl, I don't want your number. It's really for my brother, yada, yada, yada. And the teacher turned to us. Was it Miss Ginn? I think it was. She was like, Dana and Janice, get out of my class. And I'm like, I didn't do nothing. You know, it's him. He's always bothering me and blah, blah, blah. And Dana was a class clown anyway, so it was funny to him. So I'm like, okay, I promise I won't talk again, because there's a long story behind that. Woodruff was my second option in school, so I got kicked out of my first one. So I couldn't be going down to the principal's office or counseling office for nothing. So I wrote this number really big on this piece of paper, and I was like, here's a number. Stop bothering me.
So you got kicked out of school?
Hey, that's not part of purposeful.
But I mean,
it's not part of purposeful marriages.
You put it out. It actually is. You put it out there, and so now the people want to know.
Wonder why you just didn't walk out the classroom. Well, I.
Okay, so now that you put it out there that you got kicked out, they want to know.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
So anyway,
I started out as a knight and became a warrior. That's all we need to know.
Knight and warrior. So in battle, yeah. I mean, so the military thing just fit. She was right on the theme. She was right for it. Knight and a warrior. Think about it. So anyway, I get the number. Was there any doubt that I would? Okay.
Yeah, we spent.
So I got
6 minutes talking about the phone number. You got the number. That's what's important.
And then we called, and then we started talking, and then so yeah.
Fast forward, we were dating.
We were dating for quite a long. No, not a long. Yeah.
A year before we.
That's right. A year
before we got pregnant.
Yeah. Okay, you go ahead and tell that part.
Yeah. So I started dating this guy, and my parents hated him. Period. Is that not true?
That's gonna be a long story. I mean, it's supposed to be an introduction. Is supposed to be nice, aren't they?
That is the introduction.
Is that the introduction?
Part of it.
That's how it went.
We can't skip that part.
We really can't skip that
because that's how we got to be purposeful marriages. So yeah, I dated Derrick. He actually it went both ways. My parents didn't like him, and his mother didn't like me. So. We think that we now believe and know that they had a different idea for us for long-term partners or marriage.
I think that was, I think that was the entire thing, is that they had already had plans in their mind of who they were going to match us up with. Actually, I shouldn't say who they were going to match us up, who we were matched in.
Yes.
I mean, because her parents, they were going to different games and stuff like that. And my mom had been a long time member of the church, and so
my parents and them went to games. What do you mean?
Yeah, went to the game to the guy that they were matching you up with. Sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of like it was already settled, and my mom had already had in her mind who I was going to be matched up with, and I don't think it really mattered what we thought.
No,
at least to them.
To them at that time.
To them.
So we were trying to convince our parents that we really loved each other. And this is prior to the pregnancy. We were trying to convince them that we really loved each other and that we wanted to be together. And it didn't help that we had some toxicity going on with us sometimes. So yeah, we had that.
That's not like an introduction. That's not.
Yeah, it is. You got to tell the truth.
We're going to tell the truth, but I mean, the truth comes in. Okay, go ahead.
So they had, I'm trying to explain why they may have had reason to not feel like they were in agreement with this relationship. So fast forward, we got pregnant, and I can speak from my perspective. When I tell my parents, they were not happy. Number one, they were not happy because I was a senior in high school, and I was planning to attend Western Illinois University. And they saw that as out the window. You pregnant? That's not going to happen. What are you doing to yourself? This guy.
Your life is over.
Yeah, my life is over. This guy is military. He's too old. Also,
around the world, which I had not.
Yeah. Also, well, you have been to Germany. You have been out the country. To them, that was a lot.
Well. Yeah.
But also, Derrick's family owned a car detail shop, so they had multiple contracts, and with people with luxury cars,
financial advisors.
And so he used to drive with their permission some of those cars, and one day he just happened to come to my house in one of the cars. What kind of car did Dave have at that time?
That wasn't Dave. That was the financial advisors. It was a Rolls Royce.
Oh, okay. So he
So-
came to my house in a Rolls Royce, and my parents just at that point was like, he's a drug dealer.
yeah,
Nope,
quick
nope,
label.
Yep, he's don't. So they didn't even allow Derrick to even park in front of our house.
At one point, initially it wasn't like that, but at one point they was like, I don't even want his car parked in front of my house.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, this car is making your house look better. I mean, I didn't tell them that, and this is the first time she hearing that, obviously, by her.
But anyway, so we got through that. We probably more than halfway into the pregnancy, Derrick, they began to see Derrick's commitment to the pregnancy, to our relationship. They saw that he put forth a lot of effort in preparing for our child. And I mean, at one point they told us not to bring another item in their house, because I was still living with my parents at the time. Don't bring another item into their house because there was no more room for it. I don't feel like at that time we were at a point where we were all like in the room happily or called ourselves a family. I think they just dealt with you because
I think it was one of those.
they had to at this point.
Yeah, I think part of it too might have been though that it's like, sometimes you tell people, okay, I'm going to give them a chance, but I got my eye on you.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was kind of like that. But like Janice said too, at that point, you really didn't, I mean, there was a baby coming. So
Yeah.
it's either you could push this person out and then there goes your help if you thought that I was that type of person, or a person that would just adjust and say, okay, I get the point that you don't like me, but it doesn't change the fact that that's my baby.
Yeah. So, which many of these lessons, guys, that we learned going through our early stage and middle stage and now even late stage of relationships and marriage, we now share that expertise with other young couples and our children. And a lot of what we've gone through has made me as a mom see relationships completely different with my children. So then we had the baby.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's go back one second. One thing out of that entire process, I think one of the most valuable lessons that Janice and I learned, and even to share with other people as they go through the dating stages and plan to get married and all of those kind of things, is to make sure that and we'll talk about this more later, but make sure that the person that you're dating, the person you get serious with, make sure not just them, but the people who you're going to be attached to. Because, for us, it just happened to work, but it was work. And not always is that going to be the outcome.
That is true.
You know what I mean? Because, they could have your parents could have stood firm in what they thought, even if it may not have been the truth. That's just how they felt. And I get it because they're going off of what they know. But had they not given me a chance and opened up for me to show truly who I was, it could have been a different situation. And all of our outcomes would have been quite different.
We will definitely be discussing that when we get to the family series about just how, if you, again, like Derrick said, you're not just dating or marrying that individual. You really have to look at the whole totality of the family.
Date them all.
And definitely don't think that, yes, we believe and live by the Bible scripture, leave and cleave, like, your spouse is your first ministry, your priority over anything. Yes, we believe that, but you're still part of a family.
Yeah.
So that's important to still have those relationships. And also the second major lesson that we will talk about is understanding those roles if you have children, when your children begin to date. So how our parents viewed us in, getting to know us and, how they dealt with our relationship is definitely things that made us think about how we dealt with our children and relationships as well. So, yeah. So then what happened? So then we had a baby.
We did have a baby.
I think this was the breaking point when Nish was born. So when we had our first child as a girl, when we had our daughter, we had, I I was still living with my parents, and she was days old, right? When you came over in that snowstorm. She was,
it was, yeah, that's probably right. It's probably days, weeks,
Yeah.
2 weeks maybe at the most.
she was born December 2nd, and in 89, we had a really, really bad snowstorm somewhere around the first part of December. And Derrick lived, how many miles would you say you lived from us?
I wouldn't say a mile. It's probably between a quarter and a half mile.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a mile.
Okay. So anyway, this snowstorm was so bad that people were like shut in.
Like you couldn't drive.
Yeah, you couldn't drive. And there were parking bans and everything on the street. I just remember just being shut in and us just eating comforting food. My mom, at that time, I was the only child that lived with my mom. So it was my mom, the baby, my dad, and we were just sitting around, just watching TV, and the doorbell rang, and we all looked at each other like, who would that be? Like, who would be out at this time of night? And the first thing we all thought later, we talked about, it was like something happened. Like,
I'm sorry, it was actually during the day.
no, it was nighttime.
It was daytime. It wasn't night. It was day. Okay, let's go with night. It was night. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm thinking of something else.
I'm about to tell you how it was night. So it was nighttime, and he came over, and maybe you thought it was day, but the sun was down. It was dark. But when he came over, my dad, I remember flipping the light switch on at the door to look through the peephole to see who it was.
He flipped the light on because he couldn't see in the day, so that's why he turned the lights on.
Okay, now you gonna do my dad?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
So my dad flipped the light on for what reason? Because it was dark.
Okay, introduction. Let's keep going.
Yeah, so it was dark, and my dad flipped the light on, and he looked back, and he was like, I don't know who it is. Well, because Derrick was so bundled up with his military fatigue on, so he ended up opening the door, and it was Derrick. And we were shocked, all shocked. The first thing my parents was like, what are you doing out here, in this storm and yada, yada, yada. Nobody still knew that he walked. And lo and behold, he had walked from where he lived to our house to see his child. And this is when I knew that my family took a turn for the best. They did not let Derrick leave and go back outside, and he ended up staying the night at our house.
Sure did.
And so I remember the next night, I was in my room and Derrick was downstairs with the baby. I just remember the next day, my mom giving me this whole speech about, that boy was up with that baby all night, and that baby was crying, and you ain't hear nothing, and da da da, just giving me this speech, this new mom speech. And I'm just in my mind like, I got some rest last night. But truly, I didn't hear the baby. But, we were on different floors. But anyway, so that's when I knew that my parents, that he had won them over. And from that point, I'd say things started going well for at least my side of the family.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say, because I don't have any, yeah. So my side of the family, there's a whole lot of things that I didn't know. And it's a good, why I didn't know? That's a great question. I have no idea, but there were some things that I know my mom had issues with, our relationship, but I don't think I realized to what extent.
Until we got married. So, yeah, we got married shortly after that, maybe what's Nish, 2 or 3?
2.
So my daughter turned 2.
It's 91.
Yep. So we ended up getting married, and my parents had by this time came around because, I think they had their reservations in the back of their mind again, like, how long are we going to stay?
They thought I was going to be gone, but let's just go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
They thought I was going to be like, okay, he going now that you're pregnant.
Yeah. And also we didn't say either that during the pregnancy, you told my parents that I could continue to go to college and you would keep the baby because you had that experience already.
Okay, so yes, so let's just clarify that because you're trying to set that timeline like I'm some old dude. Anyway, so we did have that conversation, and they did bring up, her parents, that was one of the things they were concerned about was this future that they have for their daughter. And I said, well, none of that has to change because she can still go to school. I'll take care of the baby. And, when she comes back home for breaks or whatever, however, we'll work that part out. But I did say, hold on. I did say that because I had experienced college. Now, at the time, I'd only experienced 1 year of college. Yeah, 1 year of college. 1 year, I think a semester or something like that of college. And I said, everybody should have that experience because you never know if it's something that you truly want to do or you don't unless you experience it.
Yep.
But you're saying no. What was?
No, I'm saying no because I just wasn't going for it.
Yeah.
So he
and she did say she said I'm not leaving my baby, which, I don't know if it was like I'm not leaving my baby with you or I'm just not leaving my baby. Period.
It was both. I mean,
because I had skills.
I didn't know that.
I didn't have any kids. No, I didn't have any kids. That was my first.
Exactly.
That was my first.
So exactly. So my point is, I'm a new mom. He's a new dad. And we've both never done this before. So I didn't feel comfortable with leaving, the baby with him. My mother even offered as well. And I just felt like I just didn't want to be away from my baby. Now, I know that there are people who, take their kid to school or, continue their education still. And I'm not knocking that. It just wasn't where I was at the time. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So then we decided to get married, and I think my parents were excited about that. I would have been the second marriage of my parents' 5 children.
Second. Yeah, okay.
Second to be married. So they were quite excited about it, and I'm sure there was some reassurance in their mind that, I was going to be taken care of. Derrick had well proven himself, in those 2 years with our relationship. Again, we had a little toxicity at times, and but yeah, we moved forward. So this is funny because we were writing the book, and as we were writing, I had him read a draft of something that I wrote. And Derrick was quite surprised. He came to me. He was like, hey, don't you think you embellishing a little about, my mom's, actions regarding the wedding? I'm like, how? And he was like, that my mom, stalled our wedding. I'm like, but she did. He's like, no, she didn't. I'm like, yeah, your mom was super late to our wedding. You don't remember? And our wedding coordinator at the time kept coming into the room where me and my bridesmaids were, and he didn't know because she wasn't communicating to him. He probably had no idea why we were late starting, or if he probably didn't even know we were late. So she kept coming in, was like, your mother-in-law's still not here. Your mother-in-law's still not here. And all my bridesmaids knew the relationship that did not exist with my mother-in-law at the time. And I was just like, oh, she's doing this on purpose. And I'm like, let's just go with it. But I didn't want to go see him in my dress and tell him like what was going on. So finally, I don't know, probably an hour later, she came in and said that, she was there. So he still didn't believe me. And I said, well, why don't you just call your mom and ask her? How'd that work out for you, Derrick?
You skipped some stuff, but how long after that how long have we been married when I found this out?
You didn't find out until we wrote the book in 2018.
Right. Right. So we got married.
Said that.
No, I know. We got married in 91. I didn't know any of this. But so I did, to answer the question, I did call my mom and I said, Mom, she's over here trying to tell me that, you didn't come, you intentionally stalled and didn't come to the wedding and all these delays and all that stuff. And I said, can you just tell her that what happened? She was like, oh yeah, I did. I said, excuse me? I said, what'd you say? And she said, yeah, I did. I was. I said, you was what? She said, I was late. It was on purpose. I said, no, we together on purpose, for a purpose. You don't, purpose is not, what are you talking about? And she was like, yeah, I said, what was you doing? And she was like, just walking around, doing stuff, shopping, whatever she was doing.
She was out getting a dress, y'all, the day of the wedding.
And
she had no plans to attend.
But when she got there, She was cute. Let me just tell you. But I had no idea. I'm like, okay, what's the wedding? Hold up, whatever. I never knew that my mom, I can't even say it. I never knew that was intentional. How dare her?
And I knew because her and I had talked about it after we established a relationship, and she apologized and all that. And I'm sure I probably told him, or maybe I didn't, but it was just an eye opener for him. So yeah, so I wasn't going to write about anything that wasn't true.
Yeah.
And when you read the book, that's what we pride ourselves on, is being raw, relevant, and very transparent about everything. Yeah. Because truly, that is how people get the help that they need, by people being real. And another thing of why we wrote the book was because when we were going through all the things that we went through in our marriage, we got counseling, Christian counseling from our pastor or our bishop at the time, and, other people in our ministry. However, we only learned after sharing our story that some of those same people had actually went through the exact same stuff that we were going through. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so that's kind of how we got to where we are. And so we continue writing the book. We wrote the book through relived a lot of our pain and our the challenges that we overcame in our marriage, which were a lot.
Pain, challenges, struggles, all of that. And to go through, and even though it was really painful, I think that was probably one of the biggest growth moments that we had. And the reason I say that, because we had to fight through a lot. Yeah. To even get the book done.
Yes.
And as we fought through the book, it took God, because if it was left to us, there was many times that we tapped out. Yeah. We was like, yeah, we ain't doing this. Yep, we're not writing that. Nope, we're not saying this. We're not saying that. Mm-hmm. And, we just kept talking to each other, kept praying. And so it was, I'm trying to look for the phrase. I can't think of it right now, but we were, it was just, it was very challenging. But we knew it was serious enough. I think that thing is getting ready to die. I forgot to plug it up. It was serious enough that we ended up taking time off work to get it done.
Yeah.
And that was a point too that we knew that, that this was something that God truly wanted us to do.
Absolutely. We, just so that the difficulty of putting pen to paper was because Derrick and I both in our marriages both of us at different times had committed infidelity. Children were born pregnancies happened in those infidelity. We dealt with losing parents. We've dealt with, cancer. We dealt with we were both at some very
homelessness,
financial distress. There was so much. And so we knew that when God told us that, when we remarried, and God showed us how we, what we went through would be a ministry and would be a help to other, because Purposeful Marriages is really founded on helping couples to overcome their marital crisis by rediscovering purpose in their union and strengthening their marriage. That's the foundation that we're built on. So we knew that through everything that no matter how difficult it was, we had to write. We had to be truthful. So you will find in the book that we definitely don't hold anything back. And I just, a couple months ago, I was diagnosed during our second marriage, and I, in 2024, was re-diagnosed with cancer. So we definitely, everything that we have gone through has definitely built the foundation, built this marriage to be what it is today. Yeah. And I think that, when we coach and talk to other couples, we gain their trust just from what they see that we've gone through and our true transparency of the things that we've gone through and our love for God and our love for marriages, so.
Yeah, I think that the way that this works for us is that, being transparent is huge. I think being open, honest is another big part of that. This thing works for us because we don't have to put on a show, right? So if you see us in person, if you see us from a distance, you're going to see the same thing no matter what angle that you look at us. And I think that's important because when you measure everything that we've come through, reconciliation, all of those type of things, you truly know that you are past all of those difficulties and obstacles because your life today is filled with love, it's filled with trust, it's filled with honesty, openness, and all those things. And, our strength came, which I was going to say before I just went off to plug that up, our strength came by the word of our testimony.
Yes.
So as we were writing the book, as we were going through, the more that it hurt, the more we kept writing because we knew we had to fight through the pain. And as we continue to do that, we got strengthened to say, not only are we going to continue to do this, but we don't care what people think. And it's not to sound offensive, but we were to a place that people have their opinions and they're certainly entitled to it. But our strength was knowing that God had reconciled us to the point where it's okay to share this because our judgment has already come. But more important, our forgiveness has already been there. God has already forgave us for the mistakes, missteps that we made. He strengthened our union, strengthened our covenant. And so from that point, we went forward, our family. And so from that point, we went forward and was like, this bond is strong. And so now our threefold cord was wrapped so tight because God was the outer layer protecting everything about it. So no matter what people thought, no matter what people said, when people look at you, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe her. I would have never. And you're probably right. That's probably you. But guess what? Our story is not your story and your story is not our story. And that's okay. Everybody has their story. This is our story, how unique it is. The one thing that we are confident to know is everybody don't survive the things that we have. It doesn't make us special, so to speak, but it makes us purpose driven in what God has given us to share with people.
Absolutely, man. I don't even have words to, you sum that up perfectly. I do remember the times in writing the book where, like Derrick said, when we were experiencing the hurt and, reliving some of the things, we knew that we were truly healed because we could still get past it, right? Yeah. We still were willing to do it. We still were, we'd hold each other through it. We cried through it, but there was no, oh, I'm mad at you or I'm reliving it in anger. It was looking back like, oh my God, how far have we come?
We still talk to each other.
We definitely.
During that time, I'm saying, we were still talking to each other like.
But we came to a point where we got so committed and we saw how the enemy was working against us and not, and trying to discourage us from writing it. We said, this is it. We taking time off work.
Yeah.
We gonna get this done and we're not going anywhere until it get done. And when I tell you that's what happened, we saw the sun go down. We saw the sun come up.
Yeah, we did.
We danced together. We held each other. We cried. We went in separate rooms to do voice recordings, come back and compare notes. And we spent a good 40 hours just pumping it out, getting it done.
Papers all over the floor.
Everywhere.
You know how you say, you write something up and like, nope, scrap that, scrap this, scrap that, put this in there. And then it got to a point to where we were just writing stuff. Yeah. And so then we started taking things, putting them out on the floor, the desk, everything, and saying, okay, now where does this fit in? How does this go? Would this timeline match with this one?
Oh,
you
you
know, just
forgot
trying to
about
put the things
this. You
together.
forgot about
Yeah.
that. And stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, and even today, we still have a lot of the rough drafts, and every now and again I'll look through them and say, man, you know, how far that we've come
Yeah.
from just writing the book, you know. And one thing about the book too, I think that people have said, man, I can't believe that you guys shared all that. But the other thing is that, you know, people say, well, this is so easy to read, you know, and
Yes, it is
that's what it
easy.
was. That's what it was meant to be. It wasn't meant for you to try to decipher everything. It wasn't meant to be deep or anything like that. It was meant for you to, I guess I would say, if one thing that we were trying to capture, aside of what the assignment was that God gave us, was to just allow people to, as you were reading, say, if that were me, what would I have done? How would I have felt? And going through what you read that we went through. And I think what that does is it hopefully puts people's thoughts into perspective, that when you have your own situation, the things that you go through, that you step back for a second and say, well, man, I read that this. Not saying again that you have to be us, but if we can survive that, we're no better than the next person. You guys can too. It's just a matter of how you go about it. You know, you have to accept the missteps, formulate a plan, accept the missteps, ask God for forgiveness, right? Ask God for guidance, and then set a plan, and then hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
And be true to that. One thing that was most important through all of that, we had to be honest with each other, no matter what. Even if it was something that we thought might hurt the other person, because over the course of time, one of the biggest things I think that we've come to realize is that sometimes it hurts for me to hear things from Janice, but I can't name anybody else who loves me more. So if she's telling me things, she's telling me for my betterment, even though at the time the delivery of the message don't always feel like that. And it's not like how she's delivering the message. It's just words you just don't want to hear, because it's like, well, I thought I was this or I that. And it's like, you know, you really have to step back. And I'm one of those people, I would admit, I'm one of those people. I ain't absorbing everything just right there. You got to give me a minute to go let me process it. I'm slow to process. I'm sorry, I am.
A few minutes.
And however, I accept that. See, even that shot right there, I'm just going to take that and keep it moving. But, you know, you have to really just think about that and just say, well, would this person really try to hurt me? This is the person that I warred with. This is the person that I know has always had my back. This is the person that when I know other people wasn't there for me, she was always there for me. So why would a person say something to you just to assassinate who you are? They wouldn't. They're saying it for correction. And sometimes, like I said, it just doesn't feel good. Now, like when one of your boys like that, you're like, oh man, you crazy. But then when your spouse says it, it's like, oh, you think you this or you think you that. It's like, no, I'm trying to better you. Because guess what? I'm going to always be with you. So if that's the case, I want other people to see what I see. And that's the best you.
So the book, all in all, was the main purpose is to give people hope, give people encouragement.
Yeah.
To share our testimony and learn from our experiences. So,
yeah, people can go through things, and it's like I said, it's not always our paths clean, but you know, we can always get past anything if we just stop, work together, and work through it.
Yep, I'd agree. So that is so today, so beyond the book, we have had many more experiences, and we're excited to share those with you. Did we have a grandkid at the time? Did we have one?
At the time of
Yeah, Mason. And Ellie was a baby. Right? Was Ellie a baby? Was she born? Not yet.
No, Ellie wasn't.
Okay.
Ellie wasn't born until 19.
No, she was born.
No,
in 18.
that's not right. Yeah, she was born in 18 December.
Yes,
Mason was born.
She was
'cause Mason
still in the womb.
Yeah, Mason was born in 15.
So we have had, our experience with grandchildren, and you'll see in the book that in my first cancer diagnosis, I wrote about how when I first got diagnosed, because my mom was previously diagnosed with cancer before she passed away, And my one of my many prayers to God during my diagnosis in 2012 was God allowed me to live long enough to experience being a grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all because of what I saw in my mother as a grandmother, and how she told me at one point, when I questioned one of my nephews living with us. Well, several of my nieces and nephews lived with my mom at some point in time, and I heard, being the last child and probably lived with my parents for the longest than any of my siblings, hearing conversations between my mom and dad about, how much my mom was doing for the grandchildren, and sometimes friction that would cause between them. And I asked her one time, like, why is it worth it to be, having these conversations and arguments with your husband about these grandkids? And yeah, she told me it was. And she said, one day you will experience it. It's a love that is unexplainable. And I wanted to experience it. And here we are today, 6 grandkids later.
And it's the same thing. I feel like this is deja vu. It's like I'm experiencing, and I said, and I don't think, I sometimes, people don't realize things that they, demeanors, right? But Janice is, I see her mother in a lot of her, if I could say it that way.
Really?
I do, especially when it comes to the grandkids, because I watch your mom, and there was nothing she would withhold from her grandkids. She always ensured about the family being together. And whenever there was issues, she would be pulling people together, telling them, get your act together. I don't care about that. Heck, me and Janice was divorced, and she's inviting me over. And I'm like, no. And she was like, why not? Boy, come over and get you a plate and do this and do that. I said, no, because your daughter show up and she show up with the, then I'm good. But thank you.
Yeah, my mom was huge on family.
She was huge. And so I see that, and that's one of the things that it makes more work for me, but it's a joy for me to see the joy on your face when you're around the grandkids, because I know you want to allow them to experience things, and then you want to see that smile on their face. So seeing a smile on their face puts a smile on your face, puts a smile on my face at the same time.
Oh, I'm so glad you admitted that.
Yeah, well, but I did say it's work, and it is, because I'm one of these people too. I like my peace.
He does.
And she likes her peace, but she like her peace with a bunch of grandkids around her. And I don't always have to. That's cool, but I don't always have to have that. I told them, take that noise to the basement, and then they want me to be involved, and sometimes I just want to be. Yeah. I just want to be quiet.
Yeah.
But then when they gone, I miss them. So
yeah, he does. And he wants it just as much as I do. So if for the other grandparents out there, you may experience this. If they're not here, he's talking about them. He's repeating them in their voices when they're not here. And then he's anxious for them to come over. And then a good hour or two, Papa's tapped out.
That is not true.
Mm-hmm. That is tapped out. It's true. Like, okay, it's over, and they're on their own. But anyway, it is a joy for me. And I do find myself, oddly, I never heard him say that about, having my mom demeanors and stuff. But oddly, I think in my head at times when we're having conversations and things about grandkids, because especially when last year or the year before last, I said, for the kids' birthdays this year, our gift is going to be a trip. We're going to take them wherever they want to go. He was looking at me like, we what? And I was like, yeah, this is something different. I'm all about experiences, not just for myself, but for my grandkids. I'd rather them have an experience than sometimes material things. And so I find myself hearing my dad's voice when I'm talking to my husband about some of these grandkid adventures, but he is such a trooper. He finances all of our...
We finance.
Yeah, but you have to co-sign it. So he's our driver. He's a very good driver. He's our protector. He's our bodyguard wherever we go. And yeah. So I'm excited to talk about that. Ooh, grandparents. I can't wait to talk about some of those episodes, the sharing what goes on in your house when those grandkids is there.
Right. Okay, so let's keep moving because we kind of got a little bit off with the introduction.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's kind of who we are. It may sound like we were just a little over the place, and and it's, I think a lot of it was just intended because we wanted to just be loose on this. I promise you that as we go forward, we'll be a little more structured. Yeah. And, but part of it is the structure of what we talk about. As far as the conversation, how it flows, I just want to be loose, right? Because I think that if we're loose, then you will see that, again, we're being honest and, relaxed. Relax. When I say loose, I mean not like, okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I mean, we're just going to just have an open conversation. It's just going to be us talking to you guys, and then just kind of sharing again some of those more intimate experiences as far as topic wise. So,
and I think at times we're going to have guests on as well.
Yeah, we will. It'll be interesting too, because as we talk about the different topics, having the guests to really talk with those conversations, even our own family at times, it kind of gives a better perspective of the tone that we actually are setting here today. And it'll all make a little more sense to you. If you read the book, again, you'll get a lot of the background of that. And if you have not read the book, I would encourage you to get the book, Together on Purpose for Purpose, Derrick and Janice, Purposeful Marriages.
Yep.
And again, it's an easy read, but it's one of those that we have been told once you, and we've read reviews that once you start, it's kind of hard to put down because you want to know what is that next thing. Another thing that we did strategically in the book is, for every time that a chapter is happening or a conversation is taking place, who's speaking when. And there's some very unique characteristics in there. I shouldn't say characteristics, very unique indicators of who's talking. And so, again, I encourage you to get the book. You will not be disappointed.
And reading the book also will help you stay engaged with us here on the podcast, because as you read the book, you may have questions. So we're always open to questions. Feel free to email us at Derrick and Janice at purposefulmarriages.com. And you can, again, as Derrick stated, order the book at purposefulmarriages.com. So we look forward to the engagement, and we appreciate you sticking around to view this long video as our introduction, but we promise, I can't say we're going to promise, because some topics it just may get here. We already have done some test runs, and we know that some of these episodes are super emotional.
Yeah.
That you may see some different sides of us, some tears sharing, but I promise you it's all good.
Yeah.
So
we'll just let it run.
Yep.
We do have, we've done probably about 5 episodes already, but they were just all audio, and we thought it'd be more authentic to see us as we're having these conversations, because a lot of times you get to, look at the individuals and kind of just see their demeanor, see their body language, how they, mess with one another. And but there's several ways that you can contact us. Like Janice mentioned, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook.
Yep, shoot us a message there as well. So thank you all so much. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to the reconnection. Bye-bye. God bless.